When I seriously went about engaging a firm to do marketing and advertising on behalf of my new manufacturing consulting firm, I originally started off with a large marketing and advertising firm located here in Wichita. And while a high-quality firm to whom I had been previously exposed through another contact, I found that when we started to go through the process of identifying a company name and a tagline and thinking about a website, that they just weren't nearly as responsive to my timetable and needs as I had anticipated. I felt like I was kind of getting pushed down the list a little bit and not getting the level of attention that I really wanted and frankly needed in a timely manner. So I worked with them for maybe 3 months or so, and it became apparent that was not going to be satisfactory to me, and so I started looking for someone else. And through a series of referrals, I was introduced to a couple of different firms, one of which was Think Tank, led by Griff Griffith. And I elected to go with Griff after meeting and spending some time with him, and have found that his firm, while not the largest, certainly was the most responsive and the most creative, much more so than the larger firm which I had originally started with. In fact, with respect to the timetable, Griff moved very quickly in coming up with several names and conceptual marketing ideas for me to select from, with some powerful taglines, and he kept that timetable moving very quickly, and in many cases I found that I was the one slowing things down while he was waiting on a decision or specific direction, but he kept coming toward me with some really creative stuff, by his own admission, sometimes perhaps more creative than I was willing to embrace, but some really exciting things that I ultimately selected from, and we moved forward. We ended up with the company name of SixthSenze, which strongly conveys to my clientele that as a consultant I can bring a new level of perspective and insight into their business that they cannot achieve on their own. A tagline, common sense taken to a higher level, where we're not just smoke and mirrors, but we take real solid business ideas and just implement them in a stronger and more powerful way. In my work as a manufacturing consultant, I often travel quite a bit, sometimes 60 to 70% of the time. And when I started my relationship with Griff in January of 2002, frankly, I was looking for someone local because I was concerned about being able to have quick access to them. But as I indicated, I traveled so much that even though we both lived in Wichita, much of our interaction was conducted over the phone or electronically through email with attachments or over the internet or whatever. And frankly, that worked out quite well. I spent time in southeast Texas, east of Houston, time in Houston, some time in Oklahoma, and time in Nebraska. And during that process, we were able to keep things moving very quickly, despite the fact that I was out of town. So the very nature of us living in the same community became not nearly as important because of his willingness and ability to communicate and work electronically, and we were just able to keep things going even though I was out of town a great deal. Implementing a fully integrated marketing and advertising package, it's not just the creative ideas, it's the implementation through a website, through printed materials, through brochures or advertising, and Griff and his firm frankly do many of those things directly, but the things that they can't do or choose not to do, such as printing, and they leave those to people who are specialists in printing, I found that Griff masterfully coordinated all of those activities between multiple firms. Even though I was traveling up to 60 to 70% of the time, all that was handled seamlessly and really worked quite well for me and did not require extra attention on my part. So from that perspective, it was turnkey in nature to the level that I wanted it to be turnkey. It wasn't that things happened and I didn't know what was going on, but that when Griff and I discussed what would happen next, he willingly said, "I'll take care of that," and saw that it did happen and followed through. And I'm a real stickler when it comes to people doing what they say they'll do and following through and being attentive to detail. And I was quite pleased with the level of Griff's work in that area. As I mentioned, I was quite pleased with the quality of work that Think Tank and Griff Griffith were able to provide to my firm, SixthSenze. And while we found that his fee structure is not the least expensive, I did find and continue to believe that it was the best value for my firm.